That's what it was. It was.
Week 18 preseason game. That's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
What a crazy game today, bro.
Maybe I said this when we were. It was just a dumb game. I feel like I say that every week about the Carolina Panthers.
No, but this might have been the dumbest game because
it was really dumb. You could just tell nobody cared on either side.
The offense really didn't care today.
Yeah, offense did not care. I think the defense cared a little bit.
Yeah. As always.
But we won, which I mean, I'll never cheer for the Panthers to lose ever. I'll never ever do it. But there are gonna be some people out there that are very upset that we won the game because that actually put us second place in the NFC South and dropped our draft pick probably down to about 9th, depending on the outcome of all the games today.
Hey, man, let me say this, man. Today's game is indicative of the way me and you are feeling right now. For those of you watching right now, you notice we're not in the studio because me and Kaiser both feel like crap today.
Yeah.
And a crappy game deserves crappy hosts today. We'll try our best to not be crappy today, but please bear with us as we are not feeling very well today. So just want to throw that out there, y'all.
Yeah, it was just so let's talk a little. I want to talk a little bit about the game. I don't want to talk really more like in the season stuff, but let's talk about the game a little bit today. Panthers came out flat. The Saints actually looked like they were ready to play with a little bit of pride. Now, they said that on the broadcast, these guys are playing for pride. They say that every final week of the NFL, teams are eliminated.
That is called TV talk.
Exactly. I don't think those guys were out there playing, man, we got to beat. No one would have gave two shits if we had lost to the Saints today. They were happy they won. Of course, you're always happy when you get a win, but I don't think those guys were out there like playing like, oh, we got to beat the Saints and play for the pride of the franchise. They might have been playing for Wilkes.
Yeah.
Because
of the defense. Yeah.
Yeah. With this win, Wilkes' record as a head coach of the Panthers is 6-6, which is given the way the season went, not too bad at all. Honestly, not too bad at all. We'll talk about that more in a bit. But what are your thoughts on the game in general? Like,
if anyone was watching the game, let's say you didn't even see the first 3 quarters, right, and you just woke up in the 4th quarter. That's kind of all you needed to see because everything in between that was just ugly, just jagged, ugly, defensive struggle to say the very least, man. Sam Darnold, 43 passing yards, 5 for 15, QB rating of 2.8. Let me repeat that. QB rating of 2.8. All right. Now, as you mentioned before, man, the Saints, they come out on the first drive, and I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, it didn't seem like the defense was focused or cared enough to make any stops, man, but they made an adjustment, and quarters 1 through 4, they don't score anymore, meaning the Saints. The Saints don't score anymore. Yeah. So, and to me, it kind of felt like the defense said, all right, we do have some pride. We are playing for our coach. You know what I mean? Alvin Kamara probably ran better than he has all season. Of course, he waited to do it against us, but even still, they withstood that and still find a way to get stops when they needed to. And they were really big. They were I think 3 4th down stops.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no defense. I don't care what the situation is. There's not a defense in the league that's going to not care enough to say, all right, we're just going to let you get these 4th and 1.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, to say that we went out there and stopped them 3 times on 4th and short, man, that kind of showed we did play with some pride today. And I can't be mad at that.
What's weird is if you didn't see the score and you just looked at the box scores, the stats, you would think the Panthers got destroyed.
Dominated. Right.
I mean, Andy Dalton had a decent game, 171 yards, 1 touchdown, 15 for 25. Saints rushed for 143. Alvin Kamara had 107 of those. They forced a fumble. They had 2 interceptions. I don't see how the Saints lost. Whereas conversely, like I said, Sam Darnold just didn't give a crap today. Neither did the offensive line. I don't know what they were doing. They just complete reversion back to week 2 offensive line.
Let's be a little fair, all right? Brady Christensen goes out.
That's true.
Then you have I don't even want to say his name because he doesn't deserve the name Michael Jordan. But
hey,
Michael Jordan,
he kind of saved the game by fumbling the end zone.
He made up for it by everything else because everything else was terrible. Let's be clear. Everything else was god awful. Kaiser, other than recovering the fumble, I could have done the same thing Michael Jordan did today.
Yeah.
Probably the first time I'll ever say something like that. But yeah, you know what I
mean. The Saints actually coming into this game had the number 3 pass defense in the league. And honestly, I could see why they played like it. A lot of that pressure was coverage pressure. Nobody was open. Nobody could get open, which has been a problem the Carolina Panthers have had literally for like 10 years. Yeah. And that we never have anyone that can get open. And so a lot of these times Sam had nowhere to throw to, and he's running around, scrambling like a toddler that just stole their parents' phone. He's just running around. It just looked like it was just a dumb game, bro. Dumb.
I got to go back to this, man. I think what won us the game today was getting the Saints off the field when we needed to get them off the field.
Yeah, absolutely.
4 for 13 and third down efficiency. Like I said, 2 or 3 fourth down stops, and that was the difference.
Yeah, yep, it sure was. Panthers had a little bit of fire in them after the fight. Dante Foreman got kicked out for an open hand punch. I thought it was a punch actually in real time, but they showed from the other angle that it was actually like an open hand slap in retaliation to an open hand slap from one of the Saints defensive linemen. And the referees came in to defuse it and then ejected both players. So my question is, like, do you put a lot into that? I know that happens all the time in the NFL, but like, dog, like this game don't even like matter. And we out here fighting. I know we hate the Saints, but we out here fighting. And secondly, Swagner says we got to re-sign Foreman after today. And Foreman was having such a good game up to that point. And every time he's carrying the ball, I'm thinking, man, the Panthers are going to be in a tough situation this season with Dante Foreman. He's going to want money.
Yeah, no doubt. And he should get it. Yeah, with that being said, man, my answer might surprise you, man, but when you're in a fight, and I'm not talking about the literal fight, I'm talking about the fight in the game. Mm-hmm. When you're in the fight with your teammates, man, you got to hold your emotions a little bit. I'm not saying don't retaliate, but don't punch the dude. Push him down. Do something that won't get you kicked out of the game.
Right. Because if he doesn't retaliate or if he just pushes him, then the Saints lose a player.
We're not even talking about this. Right.
Yeah.
They're a player down, and we still have our guy. So, and on top of that, we know how the Saints are, don't we, by now?
How many fights have we got into the Saints?
Have we gotten into it with the Saints over the last 10 years? Yeah. You know they're going to poke, especially when they're getting beat, even though they probably wasn't really getting beat at that point. But if the game is close or they feel like they're not in control, it happens almost every damn time. So you gotta hold your emotions when it comes to those dudes. But they're gonna poke and prod you until you react. And unfortunately, man, he reacted. But we're talking about a game that doesn't mean much. I just hope that didn't cost him anything down the road, which I don't think it did. But he's gotta think before he acts, man.
Yeah, I don't think it that will even be what happened today will be considered. If they'll look at his production if anything. Yep. So speaking of which. He's only making $2 million this year. That's all he made this year. Yeah, so he's going to want a lot more than that. How much should the Panthers pay him, and how much should he ask for?
I'm thinking somewhere in the neighborhood of $10 million.
I feel like $10 million would be fair.
Yeah. I think that's fair on both sides, man. And again, if he don't get it from us, he's gonna get it from somebody. You know what I mean? And if you don't give it to him, what's your contingency plan? I know the popular narrative amongst the NFL is running backs are a dime a dozen. You can find them anywhere. Blah 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 blah. Well, if I'm the Panthers, I don't test that bluff. I just go ahead and pay him, man, and be done with it. It's not like we're paying him $30 million a year. I think we'll be okay giving him $10 million a year, man.
Yeah, I really like I think, and everyone likes the Dante Foreman, Chuba Hubbard 1-2 punch.
Right.
It reminds us of Smash and Dash.
Yeah, right, right.
Not quite there, but
not quite that good, but yeah.
But
yeah.
they have the potential. I think they have the potential to be, particularly if the offensive line gets better next season. And I feel like, $10 million. I think now Rich Kingston says nothing more than $4 million. I think he would leave for $4 million. I don't think
he's going to get money somewhere, if not us.
Yeah, someone's going to want to pay him a lot more than that. If he were to leave in free agency, I would consider that a significant loss. But I do feel that Chuba Hubbard really did step up the second half of the season under Wilkes, and I think he could do a solid job as the number one back for the Panthers.
And I'm of the mindset, man, is like don't give away what's good right now. Like whatever players on this roster is giving you positive momentum going into next season, man, keep it. and keep it. I don't think that number. I know the question is Tovi's asking this question, which is a valid question. Can we even afford $10 million, man? I'll have to look at our cap situation to kind of nail that down. But just off the top of my head, I don't think it'll kill us. You know what I mean? I think we still have enough to kind of fill holes through the draft. Maybe get one or two kind of plug and play guys like we always get every offseason. We never make the big splash in the offseason anyway. You know what I mean? So if we could fill holes through the draft and get one or two plug and play guys, I think we'll be fine.
Now, I would love to get Stroud in the middle of the season, particularly right after the McCaffrey trade. A lot of mock drafts had the Panthers attached to CJ Stroud. But given his performance over the bowl weekend, I would be shocked if he fell to us that far. I would just be absolutely I would be shocked.
Don't be too shocked, man.
But, bowl performances have a huge, huge sway over front offices because it shows that you can perform in the big stage under the lights. Cam Newton's draft position shot up. Now, a lot of that was because Andrew Luck decided to stay in, but we saw what Cam Newton did, the comeback against Alabama in the Arm Bowl and what he did bowl weekend. I think that kind of the Panthers were like, okay, we got to do that. Look at Vince Young all those years ago. If he doesn't have that performance in that bowl game that he had, I don't think he goes as high as he did. I think the same thing could be. Yeah, I think the same thing could be with CJ Stroud. People look at the game he had and like, okay, hey man, we need a quarterback. And if the Panthers looks like they're going to pick anywhere from 8 to 10, I don't know if he'll be around. If he is, though, you got to draft him.
I have a hard time passing that up, buddy.
Yeah, you got to draft him.
Yeah.
Now,
Kaza, as your brother, let me put you on the spot just a bit, man. I'm gonna put you on the spot just a bit. Now, what's that mean for Sam Darnold? Because you did say. We both said, let me be fair, we both said we wouldn't mind keeping Sam around. That didn't necessarily mean we want him to start next season. But
that means if you got a guy like CJ Stroud, you bring him in and you let him compete for the starting role. And if he's not ready, then you got Sam Darnold until CJ Stroud's ready.
There you go.
Because the potential is, I think, too great for a player like Stroud to pass on him. He may not be, and I'm not even sure if he's going to be like franchise level court. I don't know if he's going to be like Andrew Luck or Cam Newton was, but the potential is there. And when you're a team like Carolina Panthers, I don't think you can make a safe pick in that situation if he's available.
Hey, real quick, but I want to address a comment, man. Chris says, F them draft picks. Expound, bro. What do you mean, bro? It's not like we don't need them. So
I mean, hey, you know how I feel about draft picks. I don't like them either.
Because you're the trade the NBA draft pick. Then the NFL is different now. Come on.
Yeah, because NFL draft picks are far more valuable because you have more roster spots, so you can get really good guys late in the first round. But he makes a good point. Let's say you got a chance to draft Bryce. Bryce is probably out of the picture. But let's say you have a chance.
Time out real quick. Let me look in the camera and say this. The Houston Texans, y'all would cement yourselves as the dumbest professional team in sports if you pass up on Bryce Young. It's that simple. If the Texans pass up on Bryce Young at number one, just go ahead and relegate that franchise into the damn London NFL League or whatever it is. It just cannot be any way the Texans pass up on Bryce Young. Just can't.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, they need a quarterback, and well, there you go. So I'd be shocked if Bryce Young didn't go with the number one pick. But let's say because GMs know what they know what the talk is around the league. Yeah, and they'll know if they feel like CJ Stroud is going to be available that far down or if he's going to be a top 5 pick. If you're the Panthers and you have a chance to move up to draft him by trading away some of those picks that you got from CMC, isn't that worth it? Essentially, you traded Christian McCaffrey for CJ Stroud. That's not a bad deal at all.
Not a bad deal. And judging from the way Tepper's mind works, man, like he's been fishing for this franchise quarterback since he's been there, and what would be a better way to do that? So I'm with it.
Yeah, Chris makes a good point. The NFC South is wide open. Tom Brady's probably not going to play another season. Then look at the starting quarterbacks you have. You got in New Orleans, you got Taysom Hill and Andy Dalton. You got who knows who Tampa's going to have. Atlanta is probably not going to want to roll with Marcus Mariota another season. Yeah, I think the Panthers have a good chance here. Now, someone posted that Bucky Brooks, who, by the way, is a Tampa guy, says Carolina should go younger and cheaper at the running back position. And Swagner also says he is for cutting ties with Hubbard and drafting another.
It's not like our running backs are like 30, so I don't understand that one, man.
Yeah, that's kind of.
But that's why I'm for keeping Foreman and Hubbard, because I don't believe that they're going to cost that much money, or not any money that's going to really kill us, and they're not 30, so I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, Dante Foreman is 26, so you could probably pay him out for the next 3-4 years because that's probably about all he's got left. And I think we're going to get really good production from him out of those 3-4 years. The reason that you take a 1-year deal like this is it's like a prove yourself deal, right?
Yeah.
1 year, $2 million. Okay, prove yourself. Well, he proved himself. So, hey, now it's time. I mean, I think he did more than prove himself. We don't even miss Christian McCaffrey, honestly. I mean, seriously, we don't. So I think the Panthers have to do what's right. And in this case, doing what's right doesn't hurt them. There have been cases in sports, Charlotte sports, like paying Kemba the max would have been doing the right thing, but it would have hurt the franchise, I think.
Yeah, right.
Paying him that much. Here, though, I don't think paying him his market value will be hurting the franchise.
All right, Kaz, I got to ask you a question, man. So let's just say Stroud is off the board by the time we get there. And I feel like, we're going to have so much more time to talk about this. I mean, hell, the draft is not until damn April. But let's just say our beloved quarterbacks are off the board. What's the contingent plan? What position you looking at then?
Oh boy,
I got a name for you that I want everybody to look out for, but I want you to hear your thoughts on this first.
I'm going to say Panthers should probably look at defensive line.
Okay.
And probably a defensive end. They really need somebody on the other side of Brian Burns, like someone consistently that can play, 3 out of the 4 snaps. Right now, they have a pretty decent rotation on the other end, and they have guys who at times make big plays. Right. But they need another guy that offenses have to game plan around. And, besides quarterback, defensive end is the most important position in the NFL. So I feel like the Panthers would really shore up their that defense would be near elite if they had another top defensive end on the other side from Brian Burns, so he doesn't have to do everything by himself. I know a lot of mock drafts have us tied to that kid from Clemson. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank here.
I can tell you one.
I wish Rodney was on.
Yeah, I know.
But
anyway, most the Clemson guy was here.
Yeah. But yeah, if I'm thinking either that or of course you can never go wrong with offensive linemen. But I don't know if there are any offensive linemen in the top that are worth taking in the top 10 this year. So if you can't get a quarterback, defensive end, Myles Murphy. Thank you.
All right. So here's my thinking, man. Before I tell you my name, I'm gonna go back in history, okay? So 2011 or 12, I forget the year. I'm always bad with years, right? There was a guy named Fletcher Cox that I was all in on, right? I said, man, we need a defensive tackle. You get that guy. I was just sold. Like nothing was gonna tell me we didn't need Fletcher Cox. The draft comes about. We draft Luke Kuechly. And I say to myself, like, you know what? That's not bad either. Because because being a Florida State fan, I saw a lot of Luke Kuechly back when BC was in the ACC. So I said to myself, like, damn, that's not bad either. Why am I saying this? Because I agree with you. The need may be defensive end, right? But there's a guy that's playing for Oregon called Noah Sewell. He's a linebacker. I'm not calling him Luke Kuechly. Let me be very clear. However, I think at that spot, he may easily be the BPA on the board at that point. I'll
really?
Okay. Yeah. Keep it.
All right, I'm gonna go watch the film on this kid.
That dude is.
But you know what?
Man.
You make a great point. The Carolina Panthers, we have an identity. We've always had an identity. It's just that Matt Rule didn't know what it was, and he wanted to make it his own. Steve Wilkes, being a Charlotte guy, understood the identity of the Carolina Panthers is defense running the ball. But one of the cornerstones of that defense has always been the middle linebacker position. Going all the way back, literally to 1996, we've always had stout middle linebackers. Always. And with Kuechly gone, there's been a hole at that spot, as well as Luvu has played since he's been here. Jack Thompson has actually played, but he played pretty well on the outside this year. There's been a flux at the middle position, right? Which is kind of like, that's like your defensive quarterback, right? And I think if the Panthers have an opportunity to pick up a good linebacker in the draft, that might not be the worst move. That might be a really, really good move. And then you keep that defensive rotation you have on the defensive end spot.
And
I wouldn't
I'm going to tell you what we're not talking about, man. Shaq Thompson might have took his last snap with the Panthers, and let me tell you why. Cap casualty. Shaq Thompson may very well be a cap casualty going in next year. I would hate to see him go, mainly because of his leadership. You know what I mean? Shaq Thompson is one of the leaders of that defense. He's one of the most experienced players on that defense. But the money he's going to command next season, I don't know if it's worth it, brother.
Well, they're going to pay Brian Burns.
That part.
They're going to. They turned down 2 first-round draft picks for him. He makes the Pro Bowl. They're going to pay him a lot of money. And that doesn't leave a lot for another big signing. And you're right. I don't know if Shaq Thompson, I'm not sure if he's worth what he would want the Panthers to pay him.
My point exactly. Yes.
Yeah, Shaq Thompson has played very well. We all expected him to be the next Thomas Davis. That didn't quite happen. He has flashes where you think he might be a Pro Bowler, and then some games he just disappears.
And I mean to cut you off, but Toby, thank you. $24 million cap hit next season, which is what I was trying to think about but couldn't get it out. But
The question is, though, what are you replacing with? And let's be honest.
Right.
As inconsistent as Shaq Thompson has been,
he's been one of the better linebackers we've had.
Yeah, The defense would miss him greatly if he left the team. So all the more reason to maybe draft a linebacker.
Yeah.
Although I feel like Chris says, we gotta get quarterback.
Yeah.
If you have the option, you have the option.
You know what? And the more that we're talking through this, man, and I'm kind of more so in agreement with you. The more I think about it, I do think Stroud will probably be off the board by the time we pick. One team to really look out for is the Indianapolis Colts, who picked before us, and they damn sure need a quarterback. They need a quarterback probably more than we do. Okay, let's be clear. So I don't think Stroud and Young are going to go past Indianapolis. So
well, it's funny you mentioned Indy because they lost today to Houston. So Houston no longer has a number 1 pick.
They have a number 2 pick. But the Bears are not going to – I don't think the Bears are going to pick a quarterback, though.
Exactly. The Bears seem to be okay with Justin Fields, although if I was Chicago, I would not be, but that's another topic of discussion. But they might be okay with Justin Fields. So the reason I say that is because what if the Panthers could finagle their way to a number 1 pick?
It's possible. It's damn sure possible.
Because Chicago – they're not going to draft a quarterback. And if you say, look, we'll give you our number 8 pick plus these first and second round picks that we picked up or these second round picks we picked up for Christian McCaffrey, and maybe it may be like a future second or something. You know, is Bryce Young, would he be worth all that?
That's up to Scott Fitterer to decide. And here's where I miss Marty Hurney. Here's where I miss Hurney, because Hurney was the first round whisperer when it came to first round picks. Hurney had this gift where he knew this guy is it. I don't care what anybody else says. Yeah. I like this guy. And I hope we have that kind of thinking when it comes to scouting for our draft picks in the first round. So my point is that if Fitterer and the brass and the scouts think Bryce Young is just too good to pass up, by all means do it. Go for it.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people will deny this. People hated the Luke Kuechly pick. They were mad.
Oh, I know.
They were mad.
I remember.
They were people will deny that to the death now, but I remember in the Panthers Facebook group, people were like, what? But I said that to say, yeah, Hurney had this. He knew something that few other people knew. If I'm Scott Fitterer, I might call Hurney, pay him a little consultant fee. Like, hey, who do you like? You know, because as we know, Scott Fitterer is not the real GM of the Carolina Panthers. So we still don't know who the real GM is. Chris makes good, and we had prime John Beeson when we drafted Luke Kuechly. A lot of people forget Kuechly played right outside linebacker his first season.
I'm telling you, man, Fletcher Cox was penciled in to the Panthers that year. I'm telling you, man.
Fletcher Cox was really good.
He still is good.
He's probably a future Hall of Famer too.
Listen, it wouldn't have been a bad pick. Don't get me wrong. It's just Luke was just another.
Yeah,
man.
Absolutely. So I think as we get closer to the draft, of course things will shake out. Guys will move up and down. Especially those pro workout days are going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah.
All eyes are going to be on guys like Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and I guess I got to trust the Panthers on this. I'm going to say something completely outlandish. We're going to miss Matt Rule a little bit here.
That is really outlandish. Please explain.
It is. Our brother Vince said to us something a couple weeks ago that to me rings true. Matt Rule was actually really good at evaluating talent. He just didn't really know what to do with it.
That's fair.
Like, I mean, you look at honestly, look at the defense. He said, "I'm going to build a good defense," and he did that.
He did.
He built a good defense. He brought in good players. He drafted well. Now, though, and this is something else that may hurt the Panthers during the draft. Who is going to be our head coach at the time? At the time that we pick.
Wilkes. Let me cut you off. Panthers, please don't pull a Hornets and wait till the day before the damn draft to get a coach. Please don't do that. But go ahead.
Well, let's talk about that. A report came out a report came out this week that Jim Harbaugh has pretty much said, whoever calls me from the NFL, I'm gone. Okay. And he did say he did not want the Broncos job because he didn't want to have to play against the Chiefs twice a year. Makes sense, right? And so Tepper apparently heard that report, and I don't know if it was a personal meeting, but the rumor is that there was like a lot of talk with Jim Harbaugh, and Tepper rolled out the red carpet for Jim Harbaugh, and
like I called 3 years ago. But go ahead.
Right. Yep. So here's the thing: we know, I think everyone in this chat knows that if Jim Harbaugh is available, if he says, "Yeah, I think I would do want to coach Carolina Panthers," Steve Wilkes can forget about it.
It's that simple. Is
that the right move, though? I'm not talking about is it the right thing to do, because the right thing to do is to hire Steve Wilkes,
right?
Okay, from an ethics standpoint. But what is best for the franchise and the team? Jim Harbaugh. I think right now you could say arguably he's a better coach than Steve Wilkes is. Would that be the right move?
Kaiser, you and I both have worked in the corporate world for a very long time, right? You and I both know that a lot of times ethics does not serve good business well. Would it be the right thing to do to hire Harbaugh? No. Would it be the best move to make? Probably. And I only say because there's no disrespect to Steve Wilkes whatsoever. I'm not even going to go into why. We love him, okay?
Right.
But there's one reason why you go Harbaugh over everybody. Proven. It's that simple. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Harbaugh is proven. He's proven to take bad teams and make them not just good, but Super Bowl contenders. The 49ers are still having success because of what Jim Harbaugh built 8 seasons ago. I'm going to just leave it at that, all right? Harbaugh is a proven winner, man. The only thing I worry about, and I've said this before, is that he's the NFL's version of Larry Brown. What do I mean by that? Mm-hmm. He changes your team for 3 or 4 seasons. He gets bored. He finds another job, and he's out. But with that being said, this fan base would take 3 or 4 seasons of some really, really exciting contending football over what we've been fed the last 5 or 6 seasons. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think you give Jim Harbaugh this defense, and I think the prospect of possibly having a franchise quarterback or at least a top 10 draft pick.
By the way,
very enticing.
This is really important to say. There was another report that came out today, which is very strange, that said after they talked, the Carolinas' plans was to focus elsewhere, which is strange as hell to me. What does that tell you? Because I know what I'm thinking. So if you talk to Harbaugh, if you're the Panthers, you talk to Harbaugh, you say, you know what, we're going to focus elsewhere. That means you already focused somewhere else.
That means that Sean Payton.
Thank you.
So Sean Payton, I don't know if you guys watched Fox NFL Sunday this morning, but they actually had a segment in which he described what it would take. What do NFL teams have to do if they want to hire me, if they want to be interested? And when I saw that, I thought, that's odd considering that there's only like 3 actual coaching vacancies in the NFL right now. Right. And Sean Payton himself was kind of lukewarm on the idea of coming back to coaching, but he seems to be all in on it now, especially if you do a segment like that. And I think that I think Sean Payton has been on Dave Tepper's radar for a very, very long time. And one of the main reasons is because he was an NFC South coach. He understands the division. He understands the Saints, who they've got to play twice a year. And he's an offensive-minded coach. And the Panthers have said, and also in a report earlier this week, that that's the direction they were looking for. They were going to be looking for an offensive-minded I think offensive gurus was the actual quote. And if you need an offensive guru, then Sean Payton's your guy.
Yeah,
Offense it sells tickets. And I think if Tepper had to pick between I'd actually like Harbaugh over Sean Payton.
Same.
But I think
Harbaugh fits the real identity of
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey man, I'm gonna throw a curveball at you real quick, and I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this, man. I'm just gonna tell everybody to look out for the Los Angeles Rams. Rumor has it that Sean McVay's job may not be the safest, and if that job opens up, yeah, Panthers gonna have some stiff competition. I'll put it like that.
Which to me, though, boy, just as an aside, how ridiculous of Los Angeles.
Right. Thank you. Come on. Right.
How ridiculous.
Who had a lot of damn injuries this season. Let's be clear about that too.
This guy comes and wins you a Super Bowl and then has a down season due to injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, no.
Go figure, man. Yeah, go figure.
Yeah.
Hey,
no.
Hey,
I bet he can come on down to the Carolinas.
We'll take him.
I'll take him. Yep.
Hey, man.
But having said that, though, I feel bad for Steve Wilkes. I really do. Given where this team was when Matt Rule got fired. Remember, and they traded Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
We were thinking 3 wins. And he comes in and goes six out of 6 with a chance to win the division and go to the playoffs.
Right.
Which if they had won that game, he would have gone 7-5 in that period. So, I mean, I feel bad for Steve Wilkes because it's clear the Panthers want to give the job to a bigger name.
And it's clear that the players still want Wilkes around too. That's what's even crazier. Yeah.
This is a great point by Swagner. The Saints still own the rights, so we need to trade for the Saints with the Saints, which is ridiculous.
Very ridiculous.
And I don't know what you would give up for Sean Payton. So
and best believe that the Saints would try to screw us over as much as.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, best believe that. I don't know how that would work out. Hey man. Real quick, shout out to Josh Norman, man. Here's why. All right, so Norman gets burnt on that first touchdown, man. And Chris Olave, who was a stud, who I've been high on since draft night, he got the best of him the first drive, man. But then Josh Norman played a damn decent game to be.
I wanted him to get that pick so bad.
Yeah, man. So just shout out to the old guard of the Panthers, man. They're just making a decent contribution today, man.
Absolutely, especially since he didn't get any snaps last week.
Yeah.
It was cool to see him out there on the field. A little flabby, just a little bit, but still more in shape than I'll ever be. And I always loved J-No when he was a Panther, man. I hope that when he ends his career, it's a Panthers jersey he has prominently.
Yeah, it shouldn't be anything else, man. Absolutely. Is there any offensive and defensive MVPs in this game?
Let's talk about offensive defensive MVPs for the season. Let's do that. All right.
Yeah.
So let's start on the offensive side of the ball because you have less choices.
Right.
Really, you got Dante Freeman, DJ Moore are your choices, and then maybe Sam Darnold.
I'm going DJ Moore. I'm going DJ Moore for the simple fact that he made – I think DJ Moore is the guy that the defenses have to pay attention to. I think he's the game breaker. I think he's been the most productive. And I know it's not really fair to kind of base productivity for the whole season because Deontay Foreman didn't even get a chance until Matt Rule got fired. You know what I mean?
Right.
But with that being said, DJ Moore has been productive the entire season, man. So I go DJ Moore.
This was a down year for DJ Moore. This was, he had 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. He only had 888 this year, but he had far less targets, only 114 targets compared to 163 last season. So, although he did have another season where he had only 118 targets and he almost had 1,200 yards that season. But the Panthers were throwing the ball downfield to him a lot more. of that season. That was in 2020. I'll actually pick Dante Foreman. And the reason why is because the Panthers hung their hat on the rushing game when Wilkes came in and McCaffrey was traded.
Yeah.
And Foreman came out of nowhere. No, like we were like, where was this guy week 1 through 5?
Why wasn't he being used? Right.
Right. Yeah. Like, and he just comes in and he's our number one guy. And he is the reason that we were able to establish this run game and like literally run all over the Detroit Lions for a franchise record, 320 yards or whatever it was. The Panthers don't go 6-6 under Wilkes without Dante Foreman running the way he did. They just don't. And I think him playing well made Chuba Hubbard play well because, Chuba Hubbard was the number 2 guy. And then Dante Foreman comes on all of a sudden, he leapfrogs you and you're like, oh, what the heck? I got to step my game up too. Yeah. So a lot of people are saying the O-line.
They're damn sure the most improved unit this season.
Definitely most improved. I don't know about most valuable, but most improved. They still struggled in pass protection. But the Panthers, they don't run the ball the way they do unless the O-line steps up. I'm hoping that next season, I really hoping whoever the new coach is, move Brady Christensen back to his natural spot. I just don't understand.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you why they don't, man, because they're paying Taylor Moton
Get him off the team. Get him off the team and put Brady Christensen in his natural spot. I mean, I think he would probably play better at his natural spot, right?
I'm not in disagreement, but all I'm telling you is that when they're paying Taylor Moton that kind of money, they're probably saying, "Oh no, we're going to stick you over there and do what we pay you to do." That's all I'm saying, man.
Taylor Moton. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, man. Defensive MVP. Let me go. I have a hard time because to me it's between 2 people. It's either Brian Burns or Frankie Louvu.
Frankie Louvu, right? Yep.
And I'm picking Brian Burns, but when I say barely, I mean I'm barely picking Brian Burns, man, because I love me some Frankie Louvu. I just think Frankie Louvu is multifaceted, just like Brian Burns is. You know what I mean? But Frankie Louvu is a natural linebacker. He's all over the field. He makes things happen. But at the same time, the main reason I picked Brian Burns is that you just can't beat a pass rusher, bro. Like there's just no bigger impact on the game than having that pass rusher that you got to pay attention to the whole game. So I'm picking Burns.
Okay, I'm gonna go the other way because Brian Burns, being a pass rusher, has the opportunity to make the bigger plays.
Right.
He has one job sometimes to stop the run, but for most time to get to the quarterback. And he was great at it this season. 12.5 sacks, 22 quarterback hits, 17 tackles for loss. But what if I told you that Frankie Louvu was second in the team in tackles, only to Shaq Thompson, and tied for tackles for loss with Brian Burns, and still had 9 quarterback hits and an interception and a touchdown and a forced fumble? I just feel like this guy was all over the field. He was he was everywhere, putting down big hits. I mean, like the game that he missed, the defense was clearly not the same. Right, and no. I mean, it just clearly they were out of sorts.
Hey, you know what? Hey, man, Ty makes a good point. I think we saw J.C. Horn's value last week, buddy. I think that's pretty easy to say. Yeah, we saw the value J.C. Horn brings last week.
That is very, very true. J.C. Horn, I think next season is going to be like one side of the field gone.
Yep.
Cornerback. That whole side of the field, you don't throw to J.C. Horn.
Yep.
And that's something we've been missing since, Josh Norman,
right.
his Pro Bowl season. So I felt like the impact Louvu made, and this is what's unfortunate about J.C. Horn being as good as he is. He doesn't really get the opportunity to make impact plays because teams are actively avoiding throwing to him. It's the Deion Sanders effect. Where Louvu, I swear, man, every play, he's like somebody getting knocked out or something. Yeah. Something. But I think when you got every level, defensive line, Brian Burns, linebackers, Luvu, safety, Jeremy Chin, cornerbacks, JC Horn. That's pretty good. That's not a bad core. It's not a bad defensive core.
Not a bad core to build on.
Toby Taylor says the punter. You know what?
Oh, Hecker's the
Hecker for MVP. Yep. If you're gonna pay somebody, pay that man. Pay him.
Pay that man.
Pay him whatever he wants.
the most underappreciated Panther. I will say
definitely.
Yeah.
All right. We got another team to talk about here. Well, so throughout the season, the Panthers are going to have a real fun offseason, real interesting offseason, I think, unless they pull a Charlotte Hornets. Because I remember thinking,
please don't have a Charlotte Hornets offseason.
Yeah, I remember thinking, man, the Hornets going to have a real fun offseason. And we know how that went. And almost the same, like new coach search, lottery draft pick or top draft pick. Boy. Speaking of the Hornets, though, so there is statistically, a few years ago, this was 2017 or 2018. Somebody looked at the stats of win-loss records from every NFL team since day one of the NFL,
right.
And they were able to determine statistically the most inconsistent team in the entire history of the NFL is who? The Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers, statistically the most inconsistent team. I'm wondering if you could say the same thing
about the Charlotte Hornets.
Because the Charlotte Hornets love to prove me and Jamal wrong. Last week we looked at the schedule and we were like, hold on, my ESPN tab is acting up. I'm wondering if they watched the show and like, okay, we're gonna prove these mugs wrong, but they just went and destroyed the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, just like,
guys, I don't know anymore. I don't know this team anymore, man. Where do we start, man? Before we get to that, I'll never not be disgusted at Mecklenburg County Lakers fans. Let me start here. I will get to the Bucks game in a minute, man. I don't care if I'm 90 years old and watch the Lakers and come to Charlotte and see damn near 12,000 Lakers. It's so disgusting. Y'all disgust me so bad. Anyway, let me get back to basketball.
Actually, let's not start with the Bucks game.
Oh, all right.
Let's go back in time to the misery that was happening previously throughout the week, in which they lose to the Lakers and the Grizzlies. The Lakers game was, the Hornets had a chance late, but LeBron James just decided to turn into LeBron James, and that was the story of that game. But the Memphis game was embarrassing, like as embarrassing as a game as you could possibly get in the NBA. And I'm wondering if the embarrassment of that game, and maybe the Lakers game, because you essentially played a road game at home.
Hey, Kaiser, real quick, Kaiser. Hey, Hornets probably going to tip off at 5-10, y'all. So we're going to try to wrap this up because, I'm
not watching that game. I'm not, man. I got things to do besides watch the Hornets play terribly today, because that's what they're going to do. They blow out the damn Bucks, and then they're like, okay, all right,
by 20 to the Pacers.
We're a good team. We just need to play some defense, which is the reason they won the Bucks game. Everyone's going to look at Terry Rozier's 39 points and the fact that the Hornets shot the ball well, but what they're going to miss out on, I don't think our knowledgeable fans under construction won't miss out on this, but the difference was the defense. And I don't think it was a coincidence that you get Dennis Smith Jr. and Cody Barton on the floor at the same time and they go plus 22 when they're both on the floor. Hornets are plus 22 when both those guys are on the floor. That's not a coincidence. Then you throw Mark Williams in the mix. The Hornets had a little uptick in defense. And that ended up being the story of the game, in my opinion, even though they scored 138 points.
No, I'm with you, man. But no, here's what we're missing. You held Giannis to 9 points.
Yeah.
When has that ever happened when we've played the Milwaukee Bucks? Okay. I thought we made the Bucks one-dimensional, and that's kind of like the key to beating a team like the Bucks. To be fair, they don't have their second guy, Chris Middleton, which whatever. We don't have a lot of our guys, so I don't want to hear it. Okay.
Hey, Bobby Portis scored 19 points.
But Bobby Portis always kills us, so that's kind of par for the course, man. But what I was saying was we still made them one-dimensional. Giannis is that other dimension, okay? Giannis is the guy that's going to go to the free throw line. He's going to get in the lane whenever he wants to. He's going to draw the defense, you know what I mean? So we shut that down. We shut the head of the snake down, and the rest of the snake struggled, you know what I mean? So, yeah, defense was the key. Now, we still gave up way too many threes to the Bucks, which is okay. Again, as long as you make a team like that one-dimensional, you're going to give yourselves a chance to win, and it's that simple, man.
Plus, it helps when Terry Rozier turns into
scores efficiently.
Yeah, when he turns into Shaker Heights Rozier,
right?
Then But the thing is, he only shot 6 for 15 from 3. Now he shot 15 for 29 from the field, but like that's not like a great 3-point shooting performance, right? But you still don't expect to get that. You're not going to get that every night. Is what I'm saying. Right. Like if we have to depend on Terry Rozier to shoot 30 times and score 15 of those times, I don't have a lot of confidence in that. And then on the flip side, LaMelo Ball goes 7 for 13 from 3, but 8 for 21 from the field. Like none of that is sustainable. That's why, I'm glad they beat the Bucks, but I'll be honest. The game has fluke written all over it. Why am I getting ads all of a sudden on my? Okay, all right.
Burger King for dinner.
You know what? No. But yeah, I just feel like that game feels more like a fluke, like the Bucks had an off night than it does that the Hornets did anything spectacular to influence that. Except they did play really good defense. So I guess we'll see tonight.
I'll say this much: holding Giannis to 9 points is not a fluke. I'm going to say that much, but I think there was a concerted effort to say, all right, we at least need to try to not have this guy score 50 on us tonight. You know what I mean? And like I said, they cut the head of the snake off. You cut his head off and let everybody else beat you. And that should be the approach when we're playing other superstars like we tend to have to play a lot. You know what I mean? So
what you're telling me is that Mason Plumlee is a valuable member of the Charlotte Hornets?
Do you mean Mason Plumlee that had 17, 15, and 6 that same game? Are you talking about that guy?
Surely not. Surely not.
Him, right? No, because no. He's the reason why we lose every game. He sucks. He's trash. Blah blah blah.
I'll say the center position has not been the problem this season. Everyone wants to harp on it, but I think the guard.
No. Here's what everybody does not want to say. And damn it, I'll say it. The real problem for the Hornets this season is shooting inefficiency by Mr. Ball, Mr. Rozier, Mr. Hayward, and Mr. Washington. That's the real issue this season. If you don't get efficient shooting out of those guys, you have no chance to win. It's that simple.
I mean, yeah, the Hornets were competitive in the games they were competitive in last year because they were the best 3-point shooting team in the league. They are no longer, they're not even close to the best 3-point shooting team in the league anymore. So, of course, they're going to be trash. And, yeah, LaMelo Ball's got to take better shots. By the way, did you see the interview that he gave after the Memphis game?
Grow up, man. I did.
Now, I understand. That was an embarrassing loss.
It was also an embarrassing interview, too.
Yes. And, okay, so you don't want to be here. But the part of the reason the team sucks
is because of you.
It's because of you. It's like, and here's the thing. A lot of people will say, they'll look at LaMelo Ball's stat line since he's been back, which looks great. It's all-star level. And he'll say, well, LaMelo's doing what he's supposed to do. But is he Okay, so Swagman's like, what did he say? Essentially,
He didn't say much.
Which is the problem. It was the journalist that was interviewing him, which I know journalists typically ask dumb questions, but these were like questions like, what do you think about your shot making? They specifically asked about his shot decisions, right? And he just really blew it off. And then they were like, well, what about your guys' transition defense? You think that and the guy and LaMelo Ball is like, oh yeah, that was probably something like that.
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah,
you can say that.
Yeah, you can say that. It was a bunch of that.
And it was like, man, like you got to be more careful. And I said this last week's show. Remember, he gave an interview with Ashley Shamady, which she asked him about coming back home and playing in front of the home fans, how it felt, and he gave a very stale, vague answer, kind of like, yeah, I'm just happy to be playing basketball. It's like,
here's my take on all of this. Here's my take. All right. There's no doubt in my mind that LaMelo Ball is a competitor. Okay. I believe that. I believe LaMelo Ball wants to win. I think he's a competitor. I just think he's a young kid that doesn't know how to go about it yet. He doesn't know how to win yet. And that's not a knock on him. That's just a lot of young players. He doesn't know how to get to the level he wants to be yet. It's obvious he is frustrated, but I just don't think he knows how to channel that frustration. I don't think he knows how to really articulate that frustration.
Well, you know what?
You know what I'm saying?
He's got to be a leader. He is not the leader of this team.
But Kaza, I agree, but come on now. We're talking about all this crap with Borrego last season as far as like the immaturity of this team that we spoke ad nauseum about. It ain't going nowhere. That same immaturity is still here with Clifford. That's
why when people, Mark Jackson's name has popped back up in the news because he made a public statement that, he's willing to coach in the NBA again. You think Mark Jackson, Pastor Jackson, the preacher, is going to mesh well? Someone said that Mark Jackson would be good for the culture. Really? Our culture of a bunch of dudes who are more obsessed with making rap videos about selling drugs and slapping their women. That's the culture. Y'all really think Mark Jackson's going to come in and like change that by preaching the gospel to these guys? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I feel like, first of all, our veteran leadership has let us down. Terry Gordon, I don't think Gordon Hayward cares. I think he's checked out. Yeah. He can't wait to be traded. Terry can only do so much. I mean, we call Terry a veteran, but we forget, like, he's only been in the league like 5 years.
Right.
He came in 2017 was his rookie season. So, or was it 2016? But regardless, he hasn't been in the league very long. So, there's no veteran leadership. LaMelo Ball is not really like a vocal leader. I don't see him saying to the rest of his team, "Look, you guys," like a guy. I don't want I hate to compare everyone to Michael Jordan, but imagine Michael Jordan in this situation. Right. He would have gone to his teammates and punched him in the face. I'm not saying LaMelo Ball needs to do that, but you got to do something, right? You just can't be like, "Well, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do," and y'all need to follow suit. To be fair, the Hornets have not built a big team around LaMelo Ball, but we dealt with a lot of injuries this season, and his best friend decided to catch a case. So,
right. But again, man, it just goes back to the immaturity situation, man. And I maybe not this season because I just don't know how they would finagle either getting a vet in here this season, but going into next season, man, they got to make it a point to get some veteran leadership here. I think that is just immensely missing from this team, man.
I just think the trade deadline is going to be, and so I've not been a Mitch detractor of late because I feel like for everyone that hates him, they forget that he's actually brought in some pretty decent talent, right? And things just haven't worked out the way that we would have hoped they had worked out, regardless of who the talent that he's put in place. Having said that, I think that if nothing happens at the trade deadline, then it's going to be hard to defend Mitch. You got to do something, right? Something. You got to trade Plumlee, or first of all, you got to give somebody away. The Hornets are going to have to do that. They're probably going to essentially give Mason Plumlee away. if nothing else, to open up more time for Mark Williams and Nick Richards.
Right.
And then you're going to have to do something. Like I felt like the Isaiah Thomas and Montrezl Harrell trades last season were good moves.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had won the play-in game and gone to the playoffs. They would have been great moves.
Right.
He's got to do something like that again this season, I think.
Yeah. We'll see, man. Shout outs.
Just a shout out to DeMar Hamlin.
Right?
Yep. That's a scary thing, man. You see somebody I've never seen anything like that in professional sports. I'm really too young to remember the bias dying on a basketball court, and that wasn't in the NBA.
That was Hank Gathers.
Hank Gathers, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Hank Gathers.
Len Bias died not in a game, but
yeah,
he overdosed on draft night. But yes, Hank Gathers. But that wasn't a pro court though. Professional sports, even in boxing, y'all know I'm a huge boxing fan. I've seen fighters that have died after a fight, but to see someone in the ring fighting for their life, that's just not something you even see in a dangerous sport like boxing. So to see something like that in an NFL game where a guy is like literally dying on the field, that's crazy.
I gotta say one thing, and I'm not gonna be long-winded about this, mainly because I want to go watch this Hornets game, but I feel like this needs to be mentioned. Skip Bayless, when you tweeted out that tweet, and I read the whole tweet, and at the end of the tweet, he mentioned how the game probably didn't mean much. I feel like I need to mention that. However, in that highly emotional, scary moment, the only acceptable commentary at that particular juncture was to say, I hope this young man is going to be all right. That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. I don't even know if Skip Bayless meant any harm. I know that may be.
I don't think it did. But.
And I know that may be an unpopular thing to say. But at the same time, in that moment, you just can't be tone deaf. The only thing to say was, I hope this young man is okay. That's it. I'm gonna leave my commentary there. That's it.
Yeah, I think that says it all. I'm gonna pick the Hornets to lose by 5 tonight.
I'm gonna put on my clown makeup and clown hat, and I'm gonna pick them to win. I know, man. I'm gonna pick them to win by 7. I know I'm gonna regret it, but we on the roll, man. We gotta. Hey, man, Panthers won today. We beat the Bucks Friday night, man. I'm trying to keep this train rolling, man. Come on, guys, get on the train.
And then Indiana, Toronto twice this week, and then Boston on Saturday. Do we win any of those games?
We get one in Toronto. We
okay,
get one game with Toronto. Yeah.
I'll buy that. The Raptors aren't that great this season. I think we can get one in Toronto as well.
Yeah, so 1-3. Is that what we're saying this week?
Yeah, yeah. Y'all enjoy the game. I won't be watching it. I'm about to eat some mushrooms. So y'all have a great week. Be safe. Take care of each other out there. Don't forget, if the DeMar Hamlin situation taught us anything, that you never know. Go hug your loved ones, okay?
Hey man, another shout out to all the paramedics, man, all the medical staff, man. Like, man,
if they had did what they did and reacted so quickly, we'd be having a completely different, more somber conversation.
They literally saved that man's life, man. So y'all love one another, man. We're gonna get out of here, bro.
All right, y'all have a good one. Peace, y'all.
Peace out, guys. Peace out, y'all.